close. It's contact. Max Verstappen claims title number 3.
Well, what a day and what a race. 2,220 days since his last victory, some 6 years ago in Formula 2. Lando Norris stands atop a podium once more. This time, though, in Formula 1. After 110 starts, it is Lando at last at the Miami Grand Prix. Welcome, folks, to your post-race show here on F1 TV on a day in which history was made with, let's be honest, guys, a frankly brilliant race. Not just saying that because we got a new winner. It was a great contest out there on track. Hello, folks. Will Buxton, Ruth Buscombe, James Hinchcliffe to run through the Miami Grand Prix. Let's start at the top. Lando Norris, a Grand Prix winner. Ruth, what a performance from him.
Yeah, what a performance, and what a great blend of true car pace and a bit of strategy as well, which is exactly what I like to see. And of course, getting to listen to the fantastic British national anthem.
There we go. Hinch, listen, my man, you know what it is like to reach the pinnacle of your field and then to toil, to work, to take the losses and finally to win. How's he feeling right now?
Validated, justified. All the sacrifice that you have to do as a young driver coming up, all the sacrifice to your family, the fact he called out his mom, his dad, this one was for his grandmother. You cannot do it on your own as a young driver. And all those hard days, all the barriers that you had to overcome, all the obstacles that are thrown in front of you, all the blood, sweat, and tears, they are just justified. They are worth it the moment that you are standing on the top step for the first time. It really does change your perception of your career, your ability to show up to the next race with the confidence to do it again. And I'm just so I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because I'm so happy for him. That feeling is unlike anything else in the world.
Does your head spin? Does it feel surreal? Because those emotions, I'd imagine, will come in time, tonight, tomorrow morning, over the next week. Right now, with champagne in his eyes, with a trophy in his arms, what's in his head?
It's an emotional roller coaster, and I hope he's taking it slow because it all goes by so fast. You want to remember every moment. You want to savor
like
every moment, kind of like your wedding day. And it's just one of those things he'll look back on. And he'll forget certain moments of it, you know, he will. But in this moment, it's just trying to, like I said, soak it in, absorb it, enjoy it. The fact that so many drivers came up to him to give their, you know, congratulations just shows you where he stands in the drivers' minds, in his peers' minds. And that's almost as nice as the win itself, that recognition.
I haven't seen Max that happy all year.
Right.
He's won pretty much everything.
Correct.
I've
so definitely never seen him that happy losing.
I know. It's absolutely wild. Ruth, the team turned up this weekend with a heavily updated car, which looked lightning in sprint qualifying. I spoke to Zack Brown on the grid before the Grand Prix. He said, we've got the car for a podium today. They had the car for that and more, but it came down to brilliant use of the tires and smart manipulation under the safety car to really maximize it. But once he was out in front, once that safety car came in, it was all Lando.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we'll touch on the safety car later, but actually in terms of raw pace, as you say, the McLaren looked great. We were looking in the race at the GPS, and Max's Red Bull was really struggling for balance throughout the whole of the race, and especially on that hard tyre. He was losing in pretty much every corner compared to Lando, and that's something that's really atypical and just shows how great these upgrades are, and also what a solid job Lando did to not make any mistakes. He did take it rather easy on that final lap, but to bring it home.
It was an astonishing day, a brilliant job, and I am delighted. Dude,
we won.
Congratulations.
Good, huh?
Unbelievable.
Very well done, sir.
That was good.
Zack Brown, we spoke on the grid before the race. You said we've got the car for a podium. You had that and more. You had the driver. You did the job. Your emotions right now?
Awesome. Well deserved. Lando drove perfectly. Strategy was spot on. and all the men and women at McLaren who just continue to develop this car. It just keeps getting faster, and today no one had anything for him, so it was great, you know, on the restart going, let's see what's going to happen, but every time Lando just kept getting faster and faster, so great to get that first one out of the way.
And on a weekend where you take the risk, you bring an upgrade to a sprint race, and not only did it work, it provided him with a rocket ship, pulling away from Max lap after lap after lap. How proud are you of the work that's being done back at the factory to give you this car that's afforded you this opportunity?
It's awesome. I mean, this is a lot of hard work by nearly 1,000 people, and I just can't wait to celebrate with all of them. The phone's going nuts, and I want to dial back into the factory and congratulate everyone because it's an amazing weekend.
So how nervous are you sitting on the timing stand for those last 10 laps?
I didn't like that whatsoever.
when Albon locks up down
and Oscar was getting a bit racy there, and it was, I mean, I feel bad for Oscar. He drove a great race, and he got caught out by the safety car and then had his tangle, so it's a shame he didn't finish where he certainly drove an awesome race, but he'll get his turn.
Zach, you're going to be very busy, so we're going to let you go in a little bit. Talk to me about Lando, about the driver that you have loved for so long. He's been a part of McLaren family for so long. How he's matured, how he's grown to lead your team and to become a Grand Prix winner.
He's just getting better and better, and just very calm in the race car. Didn't make any mistakes, and I just think he's going to go from strength to strength now, because now he is a Grand Prix winner, and as you know from winning races, once you've done it, there's an inner belief that just goes to the next level. So I think watch this space.
Sorry, Hinch.
I think the question everybody's dying to know, what tattoo are we getting this time?
Yeah, I guess it's Miami. I wish it was a shorter circuit. You know, Monza was not too painful, but this has a few more corners.
19 turns. That's gonna
be some pain.
Gonna hurt. Zach, I know there are so many people at the team responsible for this car, responsible for putting it on track. But how meaningful is it that the win comes here in Miami, home to our dear, sadly missed friend, Gil de Ferran, who put so much work in behind the scenes?
That was the first thing that crossed my mind was Gil and Vasseur, who wasn't here to see either of our 2 wins, and Gil was from Florida, so that was the first thing that crossed my mind. I said to Andrea, can I come on the radio without any sort of penalty? And he said, yeah. I was like, all right, I just want to make sure this one was for Gil.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you, Zach.
Congratulations.
Well done. Absolutely amazing job. Brilliant job. As Zach said, we've got to pay tribute to the job that Oscar Piastri did today. That start, that move, making up the positions, looking fighty for the podium, which would have been deservedly his, Ruth, had strategy not worked out, and of course that contact with Carlos.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the race really did twist around at that point, and as much as it was just the pace was there, the safety car was the deciding factor in that race. And it all kicked off when the kind of Charles pitted, lap 19, and that started that concertina effect. And then it was the guys coming in, and then by pitting under that safety car, as we say, normal pit stops around 20 seconds. Safety car, you save a whole load of time, which means that Lando ended up cycling out in front.
He's being very polite and standing at the end of the table.
I'm so sorry. Get in here. Excellent work today,
Yuki,
my friend.
what a drive, man. P7 in the race. You're 10th in the Drivers' Championship now. The team has scored such a huge amount of points this weekend. You're on 19 now. Just talk us through your race and your weekend.
I mean, incredible. The pace was there. I mean, throughout the race today. I mean, last stint, for example, it's not that huge difference, pace difference compared to, you know, Ferrari or McLaren's. Or, I mean, it's never achieved like this compared to first races. So it shows how much we're pushing, especially the people who work in the background. You know, the progress we're having throughout the week, throughout the year so far is very fast. And I mean, like Daniel yesterday, for example, P4 as well, it shows how much we have pace right now in the car.
I know China wasn't where you wanted to be. You had a really confusing weekend. How much has this put confidence into the team of what you can do with this car and with the remainder of the season, as we're now just quarter of a way through and your performances are just ticking up every weekend?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, China is not the race that actually I already forgot. It's not the race that I want to remind myself. But yeah, I mean, every race so far, we always at least driving around the P10, and you know, most of the races we're scoring the points. And recently, it's not even just P10. You know, P8, P9. P7, P4. So I mean, yeah, just the amount of progress we're having is so fast. Obviously, it's not the level yet, the Mercedes, for example. But for example, today I'm able to gain the pace or even faster the pace compared to one of the Mercedes. So obviously, if we continue like this, maybe we some point to catch up the P5 team. So obviously, it's too fast yet, but yeah, we never know, and that's what we aim for now.
You said about the pace being good, kind of at the end there to some of those other cars in front. A little bit lonely almost at the end, but first half of the race, a lot of on-track battles. Did you have fun battling out there? And did you expect it to race that well? Yeah,
I mean, I kind of peed my pants when I slide at the turn 7. Had a kind of a half spin there. That was my biggest mistake, and it's the things that are a bit unnecessary for me. But after that pace was there, and yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I enjoyed a lot of the battle between the top guys, and yeah, I mean, also enjoyed the battle with Lewis as well. I mean, he in the end overtook me what I did yesterday, so it kind of deja vu. And
you taught him that move.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he did very well there.
On to Imola now, home race for the team. I know the team spends so much time there with older cars driving around the circuit, one you know incredibly well. What are the team's hopes for that weekend, given how well everything's going right now?
Yeah, very excited for the Imola. It's a track that I like, and you know, also one of the home track for us, and the second home track for me as well. And yeah, I mean, almost 50% of the people who work in our team is coming from the Faenza, and you know, it's a shame also we couldn't race last year with the floodings with Emilia-Romagna. So I'm sure we can, hopefully we can have a good race and you know, have a good event for the Emilia-Romagna, who faced in the difficult time last year.
Love that. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very
Good
much.
job.
What a drive from him today. Absolutely phenomenal.
But not just today. It's really been all weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
he missed out on SQ1, sorry, in sprint qualifying, but great job in the sprint race. Got himself into the points. Did a great job in qualifying yesterday. Great job in the race today. It's only because the first one didn't go well. Everyone's like, oh, it's not a great weekend. But all weekend long, he's actually been quite strong.
Yeah, putting those laps on the softs yesterday in the sprint, Ruth, and just had the measure of the race today.
I completely agree. I think he's really shown a lot of kind of consistency across the weekend in terms of being there when it mattered. And as you say, today he didn't really put a foot wrong. You know, slightly benefiting maybe again because of the situation, but you know, it's all about delivering and not making mistakes when you put in that situation. And racing, RB, Visa, Cash App are really coming out as that P6 team, and we had a kind of top 5, bottom 5, but now they are kind of a lone runner, aren't they, in the P6 for the championship, which is huge for that team.
Massive. We were talking driver market in the pre-race show. We thought maybe there won't be a space for Yuki because Daniel had upped his performances. We know Lawson's waiting in the wings, supposedly has been promised to drive for 2025. They have got, I mean, everyone says it's a nice problem to have. It is a problem that they have. 3 drivers who all want those seats. Right now, Yuki is making himself impossible to ignore, alongside Daniel, who's upped his pace, and Liam, who we know is phenomenal.
I mean, if for some reason the V-carb seat goes away, goes a different direction, goes to Liam, they keep Daniel, whatever it is, it would be an absolute travesty if one of these other teams didn't look at putting him in the car. The maturity that we've seen out of him, the growth that we've seen out of him over the last kind of 18 months has been spectacular. Yeah. His pace is there. He's calm, cool, and calmer, cooler, more collected in the car. And the results are showing on track. So, I mean, absolutely, he belongs here.
Now, Ruth, last year, no yellow flags, no safety cars. This year, an awful lot going on. The VSC and a full safety car for 2 different incidents. The first one caused by race leader Max Verstappen himself when he inexplicably got it wrong at the chicane, boffed into the bollard and left it behind him.
Yeah, exactly. And those 2 events were the key defining parts of the race in terms of strategy. That VSC atypically didn't even last a whole lap, and I think there'll be quite a lot of chat about this later on. And it meant that not all cars actually had an opportunity to pit. Max's VSC window was open, which means you need to drive into the pits, because normally there's a kind of gentleman's agreement that it should last at least 1 lap. It's not a regulation, just a gentleman's agreement. So he didn't actually have the opportunity to take advantage of that VSC loss. It was about 25 seconds before he got to the pit lane. The VSC ended. The team didn't say anything to him. He came into the pits and he completed his pit stop without getting that advantage of the VSC. Now, he was struggling a bit with his tyres before, so would he have been able to extend all the way? that's a different question for another day. But it was ultimately doing that pit stop then that meant that he wasn't able to take advantage of either that VSC or the safety car that came out later, which then put him on the back foot and meant that he lost that advantage he had, cycled behind, and then the balance of the car just wasn't there. So we didn't have a kind of lightning fast Verstappen. And in fact, he was slower, which is still a weird sentence to say.
Yes. All the while, McLaren are sitting there on their mediums that they'd attempted to qualify on because they were so comfortable on the medium tyre, pounding away the laps. Everyone's coming in and stopping, and McLaren just stay there, looking phenomenal. Was it a surprise to you how long they were able to eke out that first stint on the medium?
Not really. When you look at that C3 medium tyre, it is a really consistent tyre if you get it working. And looking at the lap times, there was no need to stop. But in fact, if we really want to get into the detail of it, you know, when the Ferrari pitted, it pitted into traffic. It was quite odd timing, really, when you look at kind of the lap times before. They were fairly stable. Obviously, we don't know how bad that tyre feels to the driver. And the same thing with Max's car. Like, the lap times weren't bad. It wasn't like he was hitting a cliff or anything like we've seen in some other races. And those three cars that were left in that kind of podium position, Piastri, the Carlos's Ferrari, and Lando, they were all really solid, and it was actually quite a surprise to me that both the Piastri and Carlos jumped into the pits when they did on lap 27. That meant that when the safety car came out, that critical lap 29, they'd done their stop. They can't take the game.
Fascinating stuff. Very nearly, though, wasn't a race for Max Verstappen at all. Millimeters away from disaster at turn one as Sergio Perez got it all wrong down there on the very start of the race. Heart in mouth time for Sergio Perez.
There is no worse feeling as a driver than being all locked up into turn one, heading for other cars, especially when the other cars are your teammate. Honestly, it's one. He would have been absolutely heart and mouth at that moment, and it's so unfortunate. You know, he was essentially forced down to the inside because of the slow start from Leclerc, got on the brakes, had that lock up, and again, so lucky that it wasn't worse. But I got to give so much credit to Carlos Sainz. You saw twice he turned out of the corner because his awareness of that Red Bull coming in was phenomenal, and he saved himself big time there.
It allowed Piastri to make up the positions that put him in prime position to put that move on Leclerc, take P2. Beautiful, instinctive stuff from Piastri. I feel like he deserved more from today.
Yeah, and it really was that you had to feel for the guy because he'd done such a great job. You know, that pit stop, it does hurt, you know, when you just have done your stop. 2 laps later, the safety car comes out. It really does, you know, you can often hear it in the team radio. They kind of make sad noises in the car. But he, you know, all credit to him. You know, he did drive really phenomenally, and I think it's, you know, it's a long championship. We're only 1/4 of the way through the season now, and, you know, he's got to be thinking long term, and that this is actually great pace, great weekend. That's what I'd say to him. Chin up, buddy. You're going to have a nice drink to celebrate anyway, and, you know, you've got that package, you've got that upgrade. Imola is just around the corner.
He's only running 50% of the upgrade on his car today, and he was still looking faster than the Ferrari, Cinch.
He was, but he was racing with them. Then it kind of went from bad to worse, didn't it? That move Carlos Sainz did on the inside of 17, had the rears lock up, collected the front wing, and forced that pit stop. We've heard that they have actually been called into the steward's office because I can kind of see it. It was essentially a loss of control from Carlos Sainz's part as the rears locked up, the rear steps out, and it essentially ended any competitive race for Piastri. So I can see why this is going to the stewards. I don't know if it's going to result in anything. It's very tough to sort of lay blame to a bit of rear locking, but...
Were you surprised that Carlos was driving as angry as he was? We always talk about the red mist for you tame racing drivers or untamed racing drivers, but how real is, in that moment, you hear him on the radio, you don't normally hear Carlos that flustered. He was angry.
He was fired up from some of the moves down into turn 11 earlier in the race with Oscar. Thought maybe Oscar had pushed him out, passed him off track, things like that. So it was probably one of those rare moments where in that moment with that driver, he was a little hell-bent on getting by and put the aggression up. But at the same time, he did have pace. He spent the first stint of the race stuck behind Leclerc, genuinely probably having more pace, asking for the swap, not getting it. So he's already probably not in a great mood. Then this happens, gets a bit worse. He's only human.
It's not just been a great day for McLaren in Formula One. It's also been a great day for them in F1 Academy. Because friend of the show,
Hello.
Bianca Bustamante, hello, how are you? We have to say congratulations. First of all, for McLaren, for Lando's win, but for you as well. On the podium, second weekend for F1 Academy. How was your weekend? I mean, obviously brilliant because you ended on the podium, but how did you feel for it?
I'm not gonna lie, I made a few errors this weekend. Quali was good, we were right on the pace, good strategy from the team, saving up the new set of tires. P4 in race 1, started P4, unfortunately I stalled, but we made up 9 positions in the turning lap race, so overall pace was great, which we carried over for this race, knowing that I had what it takes to maintain a position and hopefully fight for the front, and yeah, that's kind of how the weekend went.
We've just been talking about how surprised we were with how good this circuit ended up being for the Grand Prix today. As you said, all those positions made up yesterday. Were you surprised how well this circuit raced this year?
Oh, incredibly, like the amount of places, of the passing opportunities I had, down T11, last corner, T1, like it was all incredible. You just really had to be firm with the brakes and hold your stand. Obviously, there were some times where you can miss a braking point and go a bit wide or flat spot your tires. So you really have to choose it wisely, I guess. And I felt like that's kind of the battle I was fighting in race 1 because I came from all the way to the back. So good strategy and a good head for you know what's coming. And yeah, it was really good though. Lots of passing opportunities.
F1. Oh, sorry, Hinch.
No, I was gonna say, so for you, coming to a track that's brand new for everybody, do you like that? Is that something that you think gives you a bit of an advantage, or do you prefer racing at tracks that you've tested at, that you've raced it at, and have a bit of knowledge of?
I love a challenge. I think that's what makes the best drivers. Obviously, when we got into FP, no one kind of knew the track. We didn't have any testing prior, and the top 3 immediately showed the pace. I was P3 and FP1, so I think right from the bat I was able to just get on with it. With the help of sim prep and watching onboards, working with McLaren and ART, we were able to really get on with the pace. And even in quali, we were separated by like half a tenth. So that was insane.
And of course, this weekend has just been such a fantastic showcase of the F1 Academy and of all these fantastic girls, fantastic women driving their hearts out. What does it mean to you knowing that when you were a little girl, you didn't get to watch this on TV, but this weekend, we had this amazing show, and all around the world, there are lots of little kids, including hopefully many, many little girls that get to watch you. How exactly does that make you feel, and how proud are you that you are that vision that people get to see?
I mean, it's always about passing the torch a little bit brighter to the next generation, and I feel like that's what we're kind of doing now, to be in the front line of, well, to see the sport grow into what it is now, to see the paddock brimming with women in it. I saw the fans earlier and half of them were female, and to kind of see that change and to see that growth in the sport, a more inclusive space, it really is incredible. Like when I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of women at the paddock or at the track or any type of racing environment. So I think it was kind of like reliving my childhood dreams, like through them. And I was just so happy that they get to see and watch the fact that, yeah, nothing is really impossible nowadays. As long as you dream and work hard for it, anything is possible. So it's a nice feeling.
How different has this year been? Because F1 Academy last year wasn't on F1 weekends. Now you have associations with the F1 teams as well. Does that apply an extra level of pressure? Or is it actually a help that you have this amazing team behind you, supporting you, you're wearing their colors, there's so much that you can sort of fall back on? Or is it like, okay, I'm wearing the McLaren colors, I've got to do well?
There's a bit of pressure, I'm not gonna lie. It can get intense. Obviously, you have such a spotlight on you, so you're learning and making mistakes under the spotlight, so that comes with an intense amount of pressure. And obviously it's an amazing opportunity to wear these colors. It's never in a million years I ever thought I would be able to live this type of life. And overall, it's been amazing. And, to be the first female development driver for McLaren, it's helped a lot to my growth. They've done amazing with giving me a coach, working with sports psychologists, having access at MTC, working with Lando and the other drivers. It's incredible. And yeah, it's been an amazing help.
very much a part of the team. We could see you under the podium as well, celebrating with them. Congratulations on your result. Congratulations on the team result today as well. Bianca and F1 Academy will be racing next Spanish Grand Prix weekend, which is in June. So we will see you there. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. Now, from McLaren, who have had such an amazing turnaround this weekend, to Alpine, who had the most horrible start to the season, a car that was overweight, aerodynamically inefficient, with no shining lights on the horizon this weekend, down to the weight limit. And he's here, actually, so we can ask him about it.
Hello, guys.
Esteban!
Everybody, good to see you. Congrats.
How are you doing?
Finalement.
Finalement.
Finally, a
Yeah.
point. So much work from the team to get to this point, just the 1 point, but how much does it mean? How important is it to see that progress?
Yeah, super important. I mean, we are not going to be jumping of happiness and be over delighted. Of course, it's just the top 10, but looking at how we were a couple of races ago, 19th and 20th, in Bahrain, it's baby steps that we're doing, slowly improving. But yeah, I came 11th in Shanghai. I was close to the points. Today, we're in the top 10. So yeah, very happy for the whole team. They stay motivated the whole time. They really tried and kept pushing, to deliver, a quicker car. And it's not quite where we want to be yet. But yeah, I'm glad after a very hard fourth race that we managed to get something out of it.
I'm sure Ruth's going to want to ask you about strategy in a bit in the VSC, and she's absolutely just dying to ask the question. But before we get there, lap one. Whew, can we just talk about you and your teammate? Because I didn't think two cars could go around those final few corners, the tricky section.
I didn't think so either, but apparently it works.
Wow.
DC literally said, well, two cars can't go side by side through here, so they'll sort it out before then. And then we watched you go right through there side by side.
I thought it was going to be sorted out because I was on the inside, and I saw Pierre keep going. I was like, okay, well, let's give it a go. And no, I mean, it was fair racing, good racing. Unfortunately, we are struggling with some straight line speed, since yesterday. And after that, I lost out quite a bit. In the next 2 laps, I lost 2 positions in the straight line. But no, it was a very, well-fought race. I had fun with the racing. That's the kind of racing I like, wheel to wheel. Same with Fernando, all the way. People can say whatever, but I enjoy a lot the fights with Fernando, and it's good fun always with him, and that's what we said after the race. But I ran out of battery, and that's why I lost the place finally.
Go on.
Well, first off, congratulations. And,
Thank you.
that 1 point, it is a whole championship position right now in terms of, what that really means to the team. But, I wouldn't be me if I didn't ask you about the strategy. So you opted as a team to not pit early and to cover the undercut, and you stayed out, and that meant that you were able to jump all those cars under the VSC. You did a great job following the Delta, by the way. I'd have been very proud of you. Yeah, excellent. So my question to you is, was that the game plan all along? Were you planning on kind of waiting and trying to take your chance, use the safety car, or did you make it up as you go along?
No, it was the game plan. Definitely, you are correct. I mean, you know everything, so not much to say. You can explain for us, the strategy, obviously. Yeah, I didn't think anything less coming from you, but no, basically the good thing was that the medium we could extend a little bit, so we took the start advantage and also being able to go a little bit longer, try and see if we could pick up something. And there was that bollard, that obviously came, and it came at the right time. I complained because it started to be quite dangerous where I was, and the VSC came, but I would have been able to pit on the safety car anyway later. And I ended up with new tires just behind the other cars that were just in front of me. And I could, make a move in the next lap or so, over Pierre and over Nico.
We've got to let you go. Well done. I know this is
Thank you
just
very much.
the start for you guys. A brilliant job from the whole team to get to this point. I know it's been a really difficult start to the year.
It's been, but thank you. Thank you, guys.
Congrats.
See you soon.
Well done, Esteban. Good fun. Love Esteban. Right, I got to speak to one of my favourite people in the whole world on the grid earlier today, in Lindsay Vonn. Laura Winter has managed to catch up with one of her favourite people in the whole world, Fred Vasseur.
Fred Vasseur, P3 and a P4. Do you believe you maximised the most you could out of today? Was there anything left out there?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Lando and McLaren. I think they deserve it, and they did a great job, and I'm happy for them, happy for the F1, because at the end it was a good show with 3 teams fighting for the podium and the win, and this is important. Yeah, perhaps that we were a bit frustrated at the end because that we had the feeling that the pace was there, and in these circumstances you want to win. But I think it was mainly dictated by track position and safety car, and it is like it is. 3 and 4, it's a good result. And let's be now focused on the next one.
How's Carlos as well? It was quite the battle with Oscar Piastri.
Yeah,
You can hear his frustration.
Yeah, but first with Perez, when Perez missed the first corner, that he pushed Carlos out, and Carlos lost 2 positions on Piastri and on Charles, and then he had the fight with Piastri, but it was also the consequence of the lap 1, turn 1. For sure, it was a bit more chaotic than on the Charles side, but overall he did a very good job. The pace was very strong. At the end, he was able to catch up even on Max, and it's positive for the team.
It is. I must ask you about Imola next time as well, a home race for Ferrari.
Let me digest this one.
I know you don't like it.
No. And
But it's a home race.
we'll have time to think about Imola.
Upgrades?
Yeah, sure. That
Okay.
it's not a secret, but honestly, it's so tight that for sure the upgrades are important. But it's also to try to get the best from what you have and to do a good job on setup, on driving, to put everything together and not to expect too much about the upgrades. It's also the quality of the job done on track with doing the difference.
Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well done today. Thank you.
That was surprisingly straight for those two. It's normally a bit more hilarity. Anyway, good day for Ferrari with Charles, with Carlos. But we have to talk about strategically the turning point of the race today, Ruth. And it was the crash between Logan Sargeant, Kevin Magnussen. Kevin, who has been in, I think, most people's bad books for the majority of the weekend, is probably going to pick up a few more penalty points and edge ever closer to a potential race ban. We'll talk about that in a second. Do you know what, Hinch? Let's talk about the moment first of all, between Logan and Kevin. Such a fast part of the track to try to go too wide when you're not completely alongside. Did you think that Logan knew Kev was there?
I don't think he knew that. Here's the thing. We thought this race was going to be tough to pass. The first 10 laps of this Grand Prix proved very much otherwise, and we saw a lot of side-by-side racing through this very section of racetrack. So perhaps Magnussen was kind of in that first lap feeling. If you look at where Logan was looking from his onboard, I don't think he was paying attention to where Mag was at that point. And look, Kevin was not all the way alongside him. He caused a crash that took another driver out. I understand the penalty. The way that corner's built, he actually has room on the inside. You'd be technically going off track, but if he wanted to pull his right hand down, avoid that collision, back out of it, he could have. So I do sort of understand why the penalty came. I do sort of think it's a little bit more on him than Logan, and just feel so bad for Logan on a weekend where he really wanted to perform well in front of the home crowd.
And Ruth, obviously, what followed after that for Kevin was penalties for running off track a number of times, 10-second penalty, which wasn't served correctly. We hear they've been called to the stewards because he also changed a wing under the safety car, which is not allowed. How much trouble is the team going to be in? Do you think that Kevin will suffer any more penalty points on his license, or is that just kind of going to be a team and a fine thing?
It really depends. The kind of the penalty points debate is a long one, and kind of really started back in 2012 with Grosjean kind of interfering with the championship, quote unquote, which is why they ended up kind of starting to bring these penalty points really up to the forefront. I think we just have to wait and see, but I think maybe he does have a record for the most number of hours spent in race control
over one weekend.
Over one weekend.
Yes.
So maybe that is at least, one record, and it's a lovely race control here, so at least
not the record you want. But the thing that's also interesting about this is he's accumulated so many points on a single weekend now, right? Normally, if you're getting close to 12, you've done it over the 12-month period. Those are going to be there for 12 months. That's a lot of points on his record for a long time. So that's a very precarious position to be in.
Although they do have a superstar sub available if they were to have a spare tire.
That's very true.
I mean, it may not be the worst thing.
That's true. Friend of the show, Pietro Fittipaldi, is available. Or Ollie Behrman.
Yeah, and Ollie Behrman as well, who did pretty well when he had to superstar sub it.
I know where you I know. It was joked earlier today that they needed to have another step on the podium, a naughty step for Kevin Magnussen. It has been just that kind of a weekend for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, bit of a shocker. Issues on track, some maybe team politics off track. It's going to be a weekend to forget for him. The team picked up some points in the sprint at least, so that's positive, but you saw them get overhauled in a big way by VCARB, so it's overall actually not been as positive a weekend as they were hoping.
Let's hear from Kev at the end of a very frustrating weekend.
Hey Kevin, another day when you were effectively in the wars, some hard racing out there. From your perspective, how do you feel things went?
Yeah, not a good day again, so hopefully I can get some clarity on things going forward. And yeah, what happened today, of course, it's not good. Nonetheless, we move on and try to have a better weekend next weekend.
Logan said that he hasn't watched the replay back, but he just assumed that you didn't see him when you were kind of going through there. Sorry, that he didn't see you going through there. What's your kind of view on it?
I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, I got a penalty. He says he didn't see me. That happens, but I don't know. Yeah.
Right, hard luck. Thank you.
We have another guest on the show. This weekend has all been about speed. I mean, you know about speed more than anyone. Welcome to the show. Thank you so
very
much. How have you enjoyed your first Grand Prix experience?
I feel like it was lovely. It's different. Just like they driving fast, just like I'm running fast on the track.
Obviously, it's the Olympics later this year. Paris 24, the goal for any elite athlete. What stands now for you between where we are now and Paris 24?
We got little track meets that lead up to the Olympic Games. I go to Jamaica this upcoming week to start my campaign in the 200. So it's just small meets that go on to the bigger meets. So we got to get through our trials, which is USA's, and then from USA's we go to the games.
Phenomenal. What have you made of Formula One this weekend with the sportsmanship, the athleticism of these drivers? Because from the outside, it can look like just you jump in a car, you drive a little bit. Have you been surprised by the athleticism of the drivers?
I feel like a different culture, just like lovely people out here, and I feel like it's definitely different than track. It's just like a lot of mingling going on out here, so it's nice.
Did you see any parallels between the two? The way that drivers look through data to make themselves better. You obviously, as an athlete, you're looking at your performances, analyzing things to get better. Anything that you saw that was kind of similar in how you do it?
I feel just like track, time.
Yeah.
Time is money. So it's just like, just simple as that. Time is money. So I feel like all small details that we do on the track is just the same small details that go on the tracks out there.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, so just for our fans back at home to get to know you better, which driver, if you were going to be a driver, you know, which one do you think is like the closest to you in terms of your sporting prowess? You're going to pick any of them out there?
I feel like Lewis, the swag.
Lewis,
There's the swag that come with it. I got the swag too.
Love that. Love that. We will be following your year with so much interest. The best of luck for it, really. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it massively.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right, we now need to hear from another American hero, Logan Sargeant, on a really tough day for him.
Hey Logan, just tough out there when it gets close, and it got a bit too close with Kevin. Just give me your views on how that came out.
Yeah, honestly, on the inside, I haven't seen it back, so I don't have a lot to say. Other than that, it's a very disappointing way to end my home race weekend, but nonetheless, it's been a positive weekend, and I have to take those positives. I feel like generally been able to get almost everything out of it this weekend. Little bits to find, but yeah, just have to take those, draw a line under it, move on.
In terms of when you say positives, what were the things that you really kind of got out of the weekend? Where did you kind of feel like you were making steps forward?
I think a huge positive was, well, one, the sprint race, two, being qualifying yesterday, only being, you know, a 10th from Q2, and, well, less, 300s from Q2, and those are all, you know, positives moving forward, so just need to try and find that little bit more, and things will start looking good.
Great stuff. See you at the next one. Thanks.
I feel we need to discuss Mercedes. Both drivers in the points today. Lewis with overall for the whole weekend, a fighty weekend, James.
Yeah, it was just racy. But it was interesting because, again, this has been the theme. Race to race, day to day, session to session, sometimes run to run on track. The inconsistencies in that car just, they pop up out of nowhere. It's so hard for the drivers to kind of build the confidence over the course of a weekend, but it really seemed like this was one of the good, it's either a good session or a bad session. There doesn't seem to be any in between with Mercedes this year. This was a good session for Lewis, got in the car, felt comfortable, felt confident, could build that confidence over the race duration. And we saw him getting really racy, getting elbows out, asking for more power, and you could hear it in his voice on the radio. He was having fun out there.
Ruth, from a team perspective, when there's been a weekend like this with a team that's been as dominant as Red Bull, Charles managed to keep Checo behind him yesterday with ease. Lando was pulling away from Max today. Lewis was on Checo's tail and firing up to the back of him and like, give me more power, give me everything you've got. How much of a shot in the arm will a weekend like this be for everybody that for so long has been looking at Red Bull thinking they're uncatchable?
I mean, exactly as you say, it's when you have these moments, it is kind of like, the I am Sparta moment that you realize that they're not an unbeatable machine. No one is an unbeatable machine. And the main thing about, Formula One is champions adjust. And whether that's a champion like Max Verstappen that's winning the race and they're adjusting brake balance to try and get it right, or Lewis that is, now suddenly in a car that maybe isn't exactly the same way that it was, back a few years ago when he was winning championships, he has adjusted to racing. And as you say, racing with his heart, even if it's not for the win. So I think that was lovely to see, wasn't it?
It was. We heard from Fred earlier. This is no longer a two-horse race. This isn't just Red Bull versus Ferrari anymore. McLaren are in the mix. Is this a tough pill to take for Ferrari that McLaren have managed to shoot up there?
They're not going to love it. I don't think they wanted anyone else to enter the chat on this conversation. But, I mean, look, you got to look at how Ferrari won in Australia. There was the caveat of a Red Bull failure, right? Here, you can argue the caveat of the safety car, but mano a mano at the end of that race, post-safety car, Lando drove away from him. He was the faster car by a significant margin. This is a very strong statement from McLaren. This was a track that after qualifying, they're like, yeah, we don't know what the upgrades are going to do. This isn't the best place to figure it out. Might need another race or two to really maximize everything. That's not good for everyone else.
A week ago, McLaren was saying we're on the right path, but it may take us about a year to get back to winning ways. It took them a week.
Yeah, I mean, if you look through the pace, there was kind of keys all weekend. Even in that first practice session, their top speed was suddenly really healthy. They were 2 kph faster than both Red Bull and Ferrari. Then in the sprint qualifying, we had that McLaren faster than the Ferrari and the Red Bull on that medium tyre. A little bit of experimentation in qualifying, but we can forgive them for that because, obviously they turned it around. And as you say, I think it will be an inspiration for those guys at Ferrari. Certainly back when I was at Ferrari, back in the days when Red Bull were winning everything. Came full circle. The first time that we saw the Mercedes win and kind of take them down, it was an encouragement that we could maybe do the same. So I think it really will spur everybody on to say, if they can do it, so can we.
Love that. Quarter of the way through the season, we've had 3 different winners, 3 different teams on the top step of the podium. And we heard after the race, Lando thanking Will. You hear him every race weekend talking to Lando. Will Joseph, you don't always get to see him. Laura's tracked him down.
Will Joseph, I cannot imagine how you're feeling. When Lando was in the lead of this race, about 25 laps to go, I was nervous. I could barely sit down. I have no idea how you were feeling. Talk me through those last 30 laps or so.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I started my stopwatch and I said to Jav, I said, this will be a long 30 minutes, long 20 laps. Very nervous, incredibly nervous. But also, you just treat the race like it is any other race. So we were monitoring everything like we normally do. Lando was driving very, very well. So you try and forget it. You try and put that aside and just behave like normal.
15 podiums, 8 times second place, and now he's finally done it. Can you sum up how much this means to you, to the team that worked with Lando, how hard he's worked, and I guess also how painful it has been for him to have missed out on a couple of occasions too?
The pain I don't think about. We try and ignore that. In terms of how hard we worked, we've all worked very, very hard. From day one when we started off with Lando, we sort of talked about what the journey was going to be like, how we were going to get there. He's done a fantastic job, and everyone that supported him has done amazing. McLaren as a team have sort of, come around him, have been amazing. I don't know, I'm beginning to lose words, but it comes down to hard work, and everyone has done the hard work, and under Andrea's leadership, the whole team's coming together, and we're in a good place.
You put the upgrades on for a sprint weekend, which is already a pretty risky tactic. All of them go onto Lando's car. You pull out 7 seconds on Max Verstappen after the safety car. How confident are you in these upgrades and the upturn in form it could mean for the season?
I'm not sure, to be honest. We put them on. We did the same in Austria last year. We put on a big package. We discussed at length how we were going to do it, what risks we were taking, and how we would try and put those risks aside. And when things behave, it's easy. If things don't behave, then it's difficult. Obviously, in P1, we had a bit of an issue, and the hearts begin to race. You're thinking, okay, well, how do we recover from this? But we have faith in the process we work to, and we discuss that a lot, and so it just builds and comes together. The package should favour other circuits more than it does here in Miami, so we shall see.
That's exciting. And can I ask what kind of radio messages you were exchanging in those last 20 laps, or was it very much business as normal and keeping everything just low-key?
No, it's business as normal. We discussed slightly changing our communications a few races ago and making it a bit more big picture. And we exchanged things, we talked about things, we were preemptive of things which weren't necessarily going to happen, but we discussed them. It's preparation. It all comes to preparation, and in the race you might not see a lot of the things happen, and that's because we've prepared it first, and that's the hard work.
And how good did it feel to come over the radio at the end and say, you've done it, P1 baby?
It felt strange, to be honest, because the whole time you're wondering if something's going to go wrong. So it felt great, but actually hearing everyone else's reaction actually is more exciting than your own reaction. So hearing Lando be excited, hearing Zack to the side of you, I turned to Andrea and seeing his excitement, that's what makes it worthwhile.
Oh, it was amazing. It was brilliant to see. Congratulations. The biggest congratulations from us. Thank you so much, Will.
Thank you very much.
Dear Laura in the background, you'll celebrate well tonight. That they will, Laura Winter, that they will. Great to hear from Will Joseph there. Ruth, the importance of the driver-engineer relationship. It's so close between those two.
It's so close. And Will, I went to university with, fellow Cambridge guy, and he has spent his life at McLaren. Joined there as a graduate, and the sacrifice, not just, we talk about the drivers and how, much it is for them, but the sacrifice of being away from your family, your beautiful kids for so long, and really the relationship that he's built with all of his drivers, but especially Lando, it's a joy to see, someone, get their flowers and get their day. And we always celebrate the drivers. We always celebrate the team principals and justice for the engineers, because, for him, this will be a really, really important day, and his kids watching at home, they'll be probably, in tears, just like we are.
Yeah, it is a fact. It takes a village.
It does.
Let's listen then. Let's hear from the man of the moment, the man of the hour. It is Lando Norris.
Lando, congratulations. It's been coming. You've come close before. Just tell me, how good does it hear the words Lando Norris Grand Prix winner?
It's incredible. I don't know what I'm going to say. I just want to smile the rest of the day. It's an amazing feeling seeing everyone applauding and cheering and seeing the whole team there, so happy. I've let them down a few times, but I think today makes up for every moment that we've had together, the ups and downs. Today overtakes everything by a country mile, so just happiness and spreading that happiness and kind of spreading it with my whole team, with McLaren. That's something I've dreamed of doing for a long time, and today I managed to do it. So I don't know, it's hard to describe what it is. As much as I think of so many things, I'm also just empty, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm going to say. So just happy. I'm just going to smile and not talk. That's it.
I'm sure the fans will be happy with that too, Lando. Obviously that safety car came out, it gave you the opportunity to be in the lead.
Yeah.
You've been there before. What's going through your mind when it was 20 odd laps to go and you know that it's different this time because it's dry?
I thought of it briefly, I'm in the lead, but at the same time I try not to think of it at all. I just try and think of, especially the end of the first stint, my pace was very strong. I looked after the tyres beautifully. It was a tricky first stint. I was stuck behind Perez. I had to get out of Perez's way in turn one because he freaking came in like a rocket. So I stayed in the race. That's a good start. And just from that point on, I was like, okay, it's a long game. There's not going to be a lot of overtaking. It's going to be a race about tire management and strategy. And everyone knows that the longer you can go, the more opportunity you buy yourself with safety cars and VSCs and all those things. And today was my day. Today was the day that someone was like, I'm going to throw a safety car now. and it all worked out perfectly. So whoever that person was, I thank them. And I share my trophy and the champagne with them. But just a big thanks to my team, because we've been working hard for these moments. We've got close. So a shout out to everyone in McLaren, my engineers, my mechanics, all the everyone back in MTC, Mr. Brown, and my family, whoever it is, and Gil. You know, Gil in Brazil last year, he told me I was going to win within the next year or two. And as much as I doubt a lot of people, and I doubt myself, I listened to him, and he told the truth, and he believed in me, and that's a feeling you don't really get back.
What a lovely thing. Congratulations again, Lando.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm going now. Laura's already gone about 3 times today. It's just, we've got the Charlotte Tilbury around the corner. You can touch up.
I need a touch up, yeah.
Guys, what a race. Jakesy, what a call. What was that like for you to call Lando around that last corner for his first win, mate?
I love first-time winners. It's everything we love about elite sport, the narrative, all the years of graft. It comes true. They realise their potential, and that's what they set out to do, is to become Grand Prix winners. Magic moment.
And Lawrence, you stand in that pen week in, week out. You see the drivers go through their lows and their highs. The emotion coming out of Lando today, there's a special bond that you have with those guys in that moment. How did you find him?
He's had a few lows in that TV pen. He's come in with his shoulders down before. He's come so close, obviously, in Russia. But today, like, he was on his tiptoes. He felt light. He said he was empty. You can just see that emotion that's going through him, to the point where actually he was finding it really hard to articulate. And that's very unlike Lando.
Yeah.
Articulate how he's feeling right now, because he knew it was coming. He knew it was coming, but did he really know? And that was the thing. It came all together today. And those final words about Gil, and that emotion about what Gil said to him in Brazil, and you could just see, he just looked back a little bit, and it was an incredible moment. So I'm making Laura cry again.
Can I ask you a question, or are you going to go?
Yeah, you can. No, I'm fine. Sorry.
What is it about Lando, though?
It's not about Lando, and that's nothing against Lando, but it's not about Lando. What for me it is, and it's one of the reasons I do this job and I love this job, it's the story of it, it's the fairy tale of it, and I've loved sports since I was born, and the emotions that come with sport, the highs, the lows, you live and breathe every moment of that with these guys. And so I just love, like Jakesy said, the narrative of it, and to live it here, and to see him win that, obviously in Gilles' home as well of Miami. It's so special, and I think a first-time winner is a privilege to see as well. And I think it also means we've got potentially some very competitive racing coming up, and that's a brilliant thing for the sport as well.
A beautiful sentiment, Laura, which I'm going to have to ruin because we have to rush now and squish that and go straight to the timetable for the next Grand Prix at Imola, which is coming along into 2 weeks' time. We can warm up coming your way on Thursday, the 16th of May at 3:30. Then on Friday, the 17th, practice 1 and practice 2. It is a normal Grand Prix weekend, so practice 3 on the Saturday, qualifying coming your way at 4, and then on Sunday, the Formula 1 MSC Cruises Gran Premio del Made in Italy e del Emilia Romagna, sorry for the terrible accent, at 3 p.m. Laura Winter will be your guide for the weekend in Imola. This has been such a weekend. Squad goals. Guys, thank you all for your incredible input, for guiding us through what has been a historic weekend, because it has been the first weekend with Roos Busken as part of the team. Lando Norris is your Grand Prix winner for the first, but I think we can all agree, not the last time. What an astonishing weekend of action. Thank you, guys, for everything. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes. We will see you in a couple of weeks in Imola. For now, though, from all of us here in Miami, a very warm goodbye.
Welcome to Imola. Are you ready for the thrill of speed?
That was a very lovely Sunday.